All right, guys, I am back with you now talking some cryptocurrencies, and I'm pretty excited about what we've got. People don't know this, and I don't really publicize it because I have no interest in discussing it or defending it, but I'm a huge fan personally of cryptocurrencies, both the mission of cryptocurrency, so to speak, as well as, as a former floor trader, volatility is my friend. So I've never been afraid of volatility in any way, shape, or form in any sort of markets. And before cryptocurrencies became a real thing, a real tradable market, an investable asset, crude oil was the most active thing in terms of volatility that you could trade. So cryptocurrency has now kind of taken that role. So, and I'm not upset about that in any way, shape, or form. So I want to introduce right now, we've got Robert Heffernan here. Robert, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Robert is a lifelong trader, and he's got a bit of a cryptocurrency background, which again, he's a guy like me in that he was not afraid of the asset when it first came out. Where you, Rob?
Well, it's not only I wasn't afraid. Of course, I was a little bit afraid, and I also missed the early opportunity. You know, I produce a technical trading sheet for 75 fiat asset spreads, a lot of agricultural stuff. And I actually started toying with the math to put Bitcoin on the sheet. And to give you an example of the momentum level at that time was somewhere around $320.
Right.
And
wow.
One of the many fiat traders that never pulled the trigger. And then I actually got involved in crypto through an ICO, providing actionable trading information in this asset class. And I'm sure Nick, who will be on here too, can affirm incredibly needed in the space for level-headed analysis that has been going on forever in the fiat world. And crypto and the backstory of its usability is one story. The disciplined trading side of it isn't going to be any different than any other thing that's ever been traded. And that's what I'm trying to come to the space with, that technical approach. And, sing me the story, but let me confirm it with the technicals. And I did it again, all right? I've lost more money listening to the story in my trading career. In the last 2 years, the African swine fever in China. Again, the story can be one thing, and the market can be disjointed from the story a lot longer than you can stay solvent and able to buy lift tickets at the ski resort.
Right, right. It's funny you say that because that's one of the things that got me interested in it is that a friend of mine said to me that cryptos need an adult in the room, and I wouldn't want that to be taken the wrong way. And it's not about age, it's not about any of that, but when you see some of the analysis, and I want to bring in Nick Murphy, who is the head of the Beaxy exchange, and I think Nick's one of the adults, okay, to be honest, and you can see from his picture here, he's not my age. He's not yours either. So it wasn't an age thing. It's about people developing products and things that are just absolutely critical for not just the success of this asset class, because I think that's done already. It's going to be a successful asset class. But to be able to develop something like Beaxy and go forward with that, Nick, I'll just leave it to you. Tell us about Beaxy. Tell us about your role there. And again, I want to thank you for being here. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate you guys having me on. It's always exciting to get to talk with other leaders in the space. So thank you guys both for having me on, and look forward to chatting. In summary, guys, Beaxy is a startup. We fully launched the exchange back in last June here in Chicago. And, we're a startup, so we, have all the usual startup challenges of, some staffing, culture, unexpected bumps in the road. Over the past year, we've, encountered quite a few hardships and frankly made some missteps. But I think we're finally in a spot right now where we've really found our stride. We recently delivered Beaxy 2.0, which was a complete redesign of the platform from the ground up. So we dropped Beaxy 2.0. That's it there. Yeah. Dropped Beaxy 2.0 on both the web, iOS, and Android. And have been following up with, major new feature releases every couple weeks since then. We've got a lot of cool stuff in the works.
So Beaxy's an exchange, right? You're the co-head of that exchange. And one of the things I come across when I'm talking to people, so you're a Chicago guy, so you know what WGN radio is.
Hmm.
And I did a WGN radio spot, and the demographic of their listener is older than me, right? So when I was on there, the host actually said to me, he goes, "Tell me why I should be involved in this. All I hear is that your money can disappear and, they can steal from you and it's digital and, the criminals use it and all this stuff." So we're hearing a lot about sort of the unethical, shady side, in like my age group and older. But tell me more about why Beaxy is different and why people can be comfortable. Transparency, really, right? Why is Beaxy different? What's sort of the value proposition versus that reputation, which I personally think is on a company by company basis, not on an
Yeah,
asset.
it's definitely company by company. I think that the major players, the Krakens of the world, the Coinbases, the big players, we're all trying to do things the right way. Early on, 2-3 years ago, and even recently, some exchanges still now, they don't make users pass KYC, and that's just asking for trouble.
Tell people what,
So what was that?
tell people what KYC is, if you could.
Yeah. So KYC is know your customer, So when it comes to things like bad actors on the exchange and this and that, a lot of these exchanges, you don't have to prove your identification. But whereas on Beaxy from day one, if you come to sign up, you have to, show your ID. You have to prove that you are who you are, do a facial scan. And that's been a big thing to help us with, one, identifying bad actors, but then two, really putting a face with a profile and a trader on the platform. We've also incorporated some things that I'm very proud of, and we may get to it towards the end of this, but we recently announced a partnership with a third-party custodian that's going to be rolling out over the next few weeks. It's a company called Curve, and they are extremely cool company. They do what's called multi-party, it's multi-signature authentication. So basically, if somebody were to hack the exchange on an exchange that doesn't have a third-party custodian like this, those coins could be at risk. However, in our case with this Curve integration, the coins must be signed for to be moved by multiple people on our team, a Curve representative, things like this. So it's just kind of an extra layer of security.
Hey, Hef, how do you feel about that as somebody who's like kind of you're newish in this space. You're kind of a veteran to a lot of people being in this space, but how do you feel about those types of things where you're talking about exchange risk versus your own personal? Obviously, as a lifelong trader, you have a personal risk parameter that you would take care of. So how do you see these kinds of developments going forward in that space?
Yeah, that's a great and just a different nuance in this space. And Nick, maybe you can help me out with this, because we've actually looked at this. If you're going to a buy and hold or holding your coins in a third party or some sort of safer situation is fine. And I'm not really sure, with very large assets at stake. Nick, maybe you can walk us through how easy it is to trade in and out of that. For me, I don't have enough money asset wise in the space that if it got hacked, it's gonna change my life. I got in this to trade it and to give trading recommendations and trading intel on it. But we are working with large miners, people getting into the mining space, and that's a continuing question coming up as we accumulate assets. If we want to trade them, what is that process? And we're still we're actually still in discovery on that. So Nick, maybe you could shed some light on that.
Yeah, in terms of the safety of the assets, or in terms of actually trading the assets?
Well, so the speed at which you could trade large sums of assets had you accumulated them or put them at the exchange.
So I think what you're asking is, will this third-party custodian solution slow down
Yes.
for you? It will not. No, sir.
Okay.
So it's tied in with all of our systems, and users won't even notice the difference.
Okay.
It's a safety measure on our side.
Yeah.
And back to another question, Bob, that you had asked, about the markets and whatnot. I personally think that, there are a lot of unethical things happening in this space. There are a lot of shady operations in this space. going on at lots of different cryptocurrency exchanges. I mean, if you look at the biggest website for tracking statistics, coinmarketcap.com, you know, if you look in the top 10 exchanges by volume, I've never heard of like 6 or 7 of them.
Fully agree.
You know, and you know, it just is like, okay, well, are they really doing that volume, or are they just wash trading and saying they're doing that? You know,
Right.
So that's one thing that really sets us apart is we do not wash trade. There's not even a way to do so. We have self-match prevention, which is something that should be in the space anyway.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to name names, but I was reading through an FAQ on one of the other exchanges, and one of the things it said was, we have self-match prevention, but by default it's turned off. It's like, come on, guys.
So again, because I think a lot of the people that have stuck with us from the other show may not know what that means. Talk about self-match prevention, Nick, and what that is.
Yeah, so self-match prevention is something that you guys know have been around for years. But it basically means where if I have a buy and a sellout at the same price, those two orders can't get matched. Because if they did match, then the volume number for the exchange would then technically go up.
Right.
And, you know, volumes could fraudulently report their data.
So what is the Beaxy vision then? Like from your perspective, is it all about the things you've just mentioned? Is that part of the vision, is making it a place where people understand that this is an exchange and I'm good here for the most part?
It's that, it's a lot of things, to be honest. You know, we want to be the one-stop shop for everything crypto related. Now that's a big thing to say, because, you know, we do have a lot of competitors that have been around and are doing really great stuff. You know, I'm friends with the Kraken guys, I'm friends with the Coinbase guys. I think they're doing a tremendous job. For Beaxy, we want to make it as easy as possible for anybody to get on and trade crypto. You know, whether that be, you know, just simply getting on and having kind of a knowledge base that teaches you. I've got some cool features coming out soon. There's one specifically I'm very excited about called Trender, and it's a mobile app that will, you know, you open it up, and this will be out in, I don't know, a couple weeks, hopefully. But it'll pop up, and you as the user will be able to set your parameters. Like, I want to see signals for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. Okay, you can then choose your signal strength. I only want to see signals above 70%. And what'll happen is similar to, you know, how the fast dating apps nowadays go, where you swipe right or swipe left if you like it. This will pop up, and according to your preferences, it'll show you a chart with AI driven technical analysis, and it'll show you, hey, here's a Bitcoin chart. This right here is a signal. It'll tell you the signal, the rising wedge here with a significance of 70%. If you want to take the trade, great, swipe right. If you don't want to take the trade, you want to see the next one, swipe left. And it makes it really easy because, you know, we live in a world nowadays where, you know, everybody's moving quick. Everybody's on their phones. And something like finance, for example, very, very high learning curve. You know, if the average Joe wants to get into crypto, there's a lot of reading he's going to have to do. And this kind of helps, you know, bring down that barrier of entry because they can see a chart with technical analysis. If you want to learn more about what the rising wedge is, boom, click it. You can learn about it. So just innovative features like that to try to get people, you know, a little bit more comfortable with the space.
So question to both of you, and I'll start with Hef. Why should somebody be in this space, Hef? I mean, why should they be interested in crypto at all? Should they trade it? Should they invest? Should they both? I'm an accumulator, by the way. And I'm at the point where I'm likely to start trading simply because I've built up a base I'm comfortable with. But Hef, why do you like trading in this space, and why should people invest/trade in it?
You know, let me answer that with a story. And it's different now in crypto. But my brother was walking across the trading floor, and there was a heated argument outside the Mexican peso pit. And it was so heated, my brother thought, there's got to be some money going on in this pit if these guys are ready to kill each other.
Right.
And I say that because as a trader, you were looking for that. And on the floor, noise was what drew you to it. When a pit got busy, there was a lot of noise. And you might not be trading Canadian dollars, but if you were walking to the break room and there was people piling out of the pit, you skipped your lunch and jumped into the pit to trade.
Heck yeah, you did.
Same thing for me with crypto. And honestly, when I went back and looked at that sheet that I never published, and It's probably 2013 or 14 with Bitcoin at $400, and you see the move. And I really started covering it when it was the moonshot of 17. And you know, when you watch something go from, at that point it was probably 8 or 9,000 on the way to 18 to 20,000. You know, that gets me excited. That's why I trade agricultural products also in the fiat world, because, you know, I don't mind swinging and missing, but I do like the ability to participate in the volatility that crypto provides.
Well, I love that.
It's fun. It's fun.
If I could, real quick, before I go to that, did you know Jim Hondo in the currency?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hondo extended his career because of that peso pit.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you know, if you want a real quick story,
Sure.
Hondo he was covered Goldman, and he comes up to me in the peso pit, and he hands me an order, and it's a stop DRT for like 470 cars, a large order.
Right.
And it was at, I don't remember the exact price, but let's say 12. Well, he hands it to me, and it's a sell stop at 12. We're trading like 13 or 14, and I have another 1,000 cars stops at 09, right? And so he hands me, he's like, and so I get the order. I look here, I go to Morgan, and hey, give me a price on a couple hundred. And the guy gives me 11 bid on 200. I go, sold. Give me another. 10 bid on 200, sold. Hondo looks at me. He's like, what are you doing, man? It's DRT. Somebody says 10 at 9. I go, 1,000 at 05, 1,000 at even. He's just sitting there. He comes back to me later, and he says, my customer said that's the best DRT he's ever had.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Hondo, he jumped in on it too. Yeah, great guy.
He's a great guy. I miss that guy, actually. Nick, if I could, same question. Why should people invest in crypto? Like, what's in it for them, right? Why should somebody go from, you know, Hef mentions he trades agricultural. Clearly, he's open-minded, and he's like, okay, here's another thing. And it might be just because of, well, in part because of his experience with the peso. So what's in it for people? Why should they put that effort in, Nick?
So there's a couple things I'd written down that I'd like to talk about, but I kind of want to go off script a little bit here and say that, look, you know, over the past, you know, look at the COVID stuff, man. The government has printed trillions and trillions of dollars, right? Bitcoin has a limited supply. And so, you know, at the very least, I think it's smart for everybody, whether it's, you know, a retail investor or somebody else. Why not hedge at least a little bit into a digital asset like Bitcoin, because you never know, you know. A lot of people will tell you they're in it for the tech. I think there's a lot of cool tech that's coming, but I think it'd be smart to just put a few % of your portfolio into just something like Bitcoin. I mean, some of the largest, you know, asset managers in the world are already now advising a few percentage points of exposure to crypto markets, and they do so because the potential for gains is there. And crypto has seemingly been pretty uncorrelated to other global markets and asset classes. I mean, especially during this COVID time is a great example. I mean, you watch the oil futures or crude go down, you know, ridiculously low, you know, record lows. Bitcoin just kept chugging along, you know. So why do I think people should get into it? Is why not? You know, 20 years ago, people didn't carry a debit card around; they carried cash.
It's funny you say that. Because that was a question on that WGN radio interview I did. The host actually said to me, why should I get involved in something that I can't see and that criminals use? And my answer to him was, pull cash out of do you have any cash in your pocket? He goes, yeah. I said, pull it out and look at it. And
he did have some.
That's what criminals use right now, but you have that in your pocket. So it makes no sense. And I believe that not only does the macro success of cryptos rely on one or two of these becoming a usable currency, but we're almost there now. Like, we have a particular deal with we do some analysis for institutions. We have a particular deal with a crypto institutions where they're paying us in Bitcoin. It's a currency for us. That's how we're getting paid. Yeah. So one of those things that, you know, not only to add to your why not, but I think one of the mistakes people make during this, and I'm sure you guys have all experienced this being market related, during this COVID-19 pandemic, I can't tell you the amount of people who said, I've got $5,000. What one thing should I put it in on? What one day should I do it?
Yep.
And I think that's the opposite of what Nick is saying. Nick's saying, put a little bit in. If it goes down, put
Just
a
to
little
start,
more.
man. You know, I mean, if you're sitting and you've got 5K just sitting there doing nothing, sure, go all in on Bitcoin. But you know, if you're not, and you're, especially right now with COVID, with people's jobs all over the wazoo, and you know, just I have friends ask me all the time, you know, what should I buy, this or that, and I'm like,
Bitcoin,
dude,
what day?
just take 100, 200, 500 bucks a week and just buy Bitcoin and forget about it.
Are you guys both Bitcoin? I did a TV interview 2 years ago where I said I didn't know if Bitcoin was Facebook or MySpace. And that was my
Good example.
And now I believe that Bitcoin is Facebook. Are you guys going to say, I'll go to Nick first since you're on the screen.
So I think it could. Here's what I think. Do I think Bitcoin is going to be the end all that takes over the dollar? That's a stretch. But what I do believe is that some digital currency with a limited fixed supply like Bitcoin will ultimately take over the dollar. Whether it's Bitcoin, I don't know.
Hef,
It could be.
what do you think, Hef?
For me, I don't know. I do know this, and the thing that intrigued me first getting into crypto and blockchain was the very premise of it, that people act in their own interest. And when you put together a system that is fairer for everybody because it's decentralized, at the end of the day, it's got to be a better system than what we've had throughout humanity. And that really caught my eye. And so, and I truly believe that fundamentally is going to play out over time, whether it's Bitcoin or not. I don't know. And I'll go to the chart to let me know that. I said to Nick yesterday when we were chatting about this, like, don't tell me Bitcoin is going to $20,000 or $50,000 or $80,000 as a technician when it's closing in weekly, momentum to the downside. So I'll let the chart tell me. I'll also let those cross charts tell me against Bitcoin if there's a better play to be in the space. And I'm going to trade it just like I traded, as I said last time I was on the show, Bob, the guys in Chicago that traded soybeans forever and never had seen a soybean and couldn't pick one out on the table.
Right.
But I do, so I'm coming at it from two sides. I believe fundamentally over time, this technology is going to change humanity.
Well, I think most people that buy a stock, I actually brought that up to another friend, and somebody said,
Right.
"Do you know anything about this?" I said, "Well, do you own Apple?" "I do." "Well, what do you know about their financials?" "Well, I don't know. I don't look at them." Exactly.
That's exactly the right answer. Exactly.
Value. And as the perceived value of cryptos grow, and that's why personally I'm an accumulator, although again, I'm going to start trading it very shortly. And actually I'll talk to you guys off the air about that at some point, but
Right on.
I'm going to start trading it very actively shortly. So just kind of as a wrap up, Nick, I want to give you the opportunity to say anything I've missed about Beaxy itself, because again, you're an exchange, people should know about you and where they can get a hold of you. And is there any plans that we haven't talked about, any pivots or anything you've done in your business that we can, that I want to get?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely busy. I'll tell you that.
About the halving, but I think I'm going to save that because the Bitcoin halving is happening May 18th, and somewhere around there, and we've got another show. So I think it's more important to talk about the halving right around when it's happening or just after.
Perfect.
As opposed to. So I'm going to go to that with you, and then Hef, I'm going to ask you if you have any final words about the space at all. But Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. So, I kind of mentioned the Swipe app that we've got coming out that we're really excited about. The other things, we're just, let me say, our guys stay busy. This is, we work every day and we're working hard to deliver a product that is right for the people. So over the next couple months, we'll have fiat onboarding and offboarding in 160 different currencies globally, which is huge. That'll be a big differentiator for us. We recently released the APIs so people can plug in and trade algorithmically. We've got good liquidity, and then we've got some programs that I'll just, I'm not going to get into them now, but I'll shoot some links and maybe you can post them with the stuff. But we've got this program called the STK program, which actually pays out a reward to users who then lock up crypto on the platform. So if you're a holder, like you mentioned, accumulator, you could use Beaxy and stake the tokens and actually earn a reward for doing so. So all in all, I mean, we're just striving to be the first exchange that can market itself as the real one-stop shop for traders.
Hef, how's that all sound to you, buddy?
I'm telling you, I've followed these guys since they started. The thing that impressed me about them right out of the bat is that they come from the fiat world. They're realists. They understand that transparency, my word is my bond, that is, so second nature from guys in Chicago, the Chicago trading environment. And it's a crazy world. I've left Chicago, and I found out that that's not true with everybody. That
No.
everybody's word isn't their bond. And I just was very impressed where they came out of, what they were trying to accomplish. And Nick, congratulations on the work so far. And I really
very much appreciate it, man.
Look forward
lots
to
to go, but really appreciate the kind words, man.
So look, I'll tell you guys both before we wrap up, I'm really happy that you both took time. Nick, I know you're a damn busy guy, and Hef, you're always very gracious with your time with us, so I really appreciate that. I will say that when the CME group came out with the futures is when my ears perked up. And just going from a perspective of like, okay, this is the CME group has said this is a product that people are going to need to hedge. And if you don't think during this COVID-19 lockdown, where you could barely go to your bank, that you should have at least a portion of your funds somewhere where you control them, where no one else can get them, you're being naive at best.
Yeah.
So looking from a perspective of what governments are able to do, not just with your money, but with money in general. So
exactly.
Nick, you said where they can reach you. Have you got a Twitter or social media or anywhere? People
HFR from the floor.
HFR from the floor.
On Twitter.
Give a shout at the website again, Nick, so people can find you.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the website for Beaxy is just beaxy.com. And you can find me on Twitter at Nick Murphy with 2 underscores. Somebody took the good name.
Guys, thank you so much. You guys, thanks for watching. You've just been exposed to the crypto side of our show. You were exposed to the traditional market side of our show. May 18th is our next live show. We hope to be back in the studio. We can do live trades once we're back in the studio. I've been kind of itching to trade in front of you guys and just haven't been able to do it with this kind of environment. So guys, thanks again for being here. Audience, thanks for watching. You've been exposed to crypto.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Bob.
guys.